Ladies and gentlemen, we have finally hit a spot in our time where we are so politically divided that violence was just around the corner. And what I'm going to talk about today has finally sparked my interest in sharing my opinion on this sort of topic in our political spectrum as a whole. Now, I have very strong and outspoken beliefs and contemplated making videos like this for months before this on certain other controversial topics. Obviously, if you've kept up with the news, obviously you would know. But I ultimately decided not to because, I want to keep that reserved for my other social media accounts, such as Instagram and things like that. But today, I finally found something so extreme that I finally felt like I should sit down and spread my opinion on something like this. On Sunday, an 18-year-old conservative-leaning guy was intentionally murdered by a left-wing extremist. And no, I am not just quoting the title of this article right here. Multiple reports have come out and said this is in fact the case, and even the murderer admitted that this was politically driven. So we're going to read into it here in a second. I'm going to try to make this as little of a rant as possible and just get the main point across. I don't want the video to drag on a little bit. I want to get my point across here. So let's scroll down a little bit here. So a man murdered a teacher in North Dakota because of his conservative political beliefs last Sunday. That's a typo. It should be 18th. Around 2:30 a.m., shooter Shannon Brandt, 41, called 911 to report that he had hit a young man with his vehicle who said belonged to a Republican extremist group. The victim, an 18-year-old boy named Kaylor Ellingson, called his mother moments before he was killed, asking her to pick him up after leaving a street party because a man was chasing him. When the mother arrived at the scene, he was already dead. All right, so let's scroll down a little bit here. Now, you might be saying, okay, this is just a setup. I mean, I see nothing here. It could just be a basic crazy murder case. There's not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of info yet, but there is still some info that the murderer has confessed to. Brandt was charged the following Monday with vehicular homicide, with the aggravating factor of fleeing after a fatal hit and run. If convicted, he would face a minimum of 10 years in prison. Okay? Now, the main thing we want to hit here is, see right here, we're still trying to determine what exactly transpired at the time of the crash. Prior to that as well, one of the highway patrol captains says there. Obviously, they're still trying to get information, but this is what we want to focus on right here. According to court reports cited by the local media, Brandt has already admitted that the murder had been politically motivated. And I think, right here, police sources say Brandt was intoxicated. I mean, so the man was drunk, and now we're having we have gotten to a point where we are now resorting to violence over politics. And it's already been happening, with the BLM protests and everything like that. I don't mean to bring that up, but it's a great example because the violence and that has been ignored for so long, and now this is being ignored. This is totally just unjustified. And, I'm going to get into some more details later here. So, it said Brandt was admitted to murder being politically, so yeah. The thing is that this only happened a week after President Biden's speech in Philadelphia, in which he referred to Republican Trump supporters as extremists. And I think this particular website goes way too light on this wording. Biden outright said fascist, and he did. Okay, I know there's probably going to be some people that want to say, but he called them semi-fascist. No, you're either a fascist or you're not a fascist. I think that's pretty simple. And now Biden has millions of Americans thinking half the country wishes death and misfortune among people. And, you know, it's actually simple. I mean, just a quick Google search here. Traits of a fascist: authoritarian, ultranationalist political ideology and movement, characterized by a dictatorial leader, centralized autocracy, things like that. Another thing here: powerful and continuing nationalism. Fascist regimes make constant use of patriotic mottos, slogans, symbols, songs, flags, something like that. And we're going to get into that a little bit later. But every site, opposition to parliamentary democracy. And we're going to get into the absolute hypocrisy of Mr. Joe Biden in just a second here. So let's go back to the article here. And there's a video here, just a news source. I'll link this website if you want to watch it here. It's this video here. It's not really that significant. But yeah, it's really crazy that we have a president now that is dishing out, throwing out these sort of terms like fascist. So it's not a surprise that when you make your competitors your full-on war enemies, that is not going to make people, or that is going to make people go crazy. It's actually funny. Now, everywhere you go, the left is just dishing out these words like fascist, ultranationalist, whatever, dictators, whatever synonym you can think of. But yet, they always claim how we as the Trump supporters are just following in the footsteps of a dictator. That's the go-to right there. Oh, Trump's just a dictator, and he's just telling all those people, and they're following along with it. Yeah. Do you not see the hypocrisy? Okay? You cannot, as a president, you cannot just use harsh terms like this and expect people to not wish harm on others. Okay? And now we have full proof. We now have a case where someone has gone to violence and harm to try to get their point across. And that is ridiculous. It's as clear as it gets. Okay? I don't see how this is any different than when people just started following what Hitler said, because he was the authority. Joe Biden is the authority here, and many people are just following along with what he says. Trump, yeah, those guys are fascist, okay? They disagree with me, so they're fascist, all right? They're fascist. They wish hate on others, okay? They're racist and they're sexist and they're all that, okay? So you call them fascist, all right? And now you have people going out and, oh my God, it is ridiculous how far left the left has gone. The political spectrum nowadays is ridiculous. It's no surprise when you make a picture like this, it's no surprise. It's no surprise at all that you're going to start something. Okay? You're going to start something that is not good. A rally that only wishes hate. Okay? The day that you make your competitors the enemy is the day that you pretty much become Hitler. Okay? That is Biden today, ladies and gentlemen. And nobody, not a single well-known media station is talking about this. They're not talking about this right here. Okay? Nothing. Not a single source cares about this. It's the same thing with BLM. All they cared about was how, they might be rioting, but they have a point. They have a point to get across. These people, they're getting racially discriminated against. Okay? You gotta understand it. But then they ignore the countless people killed in all those riots. Here it is again here. Here it is. You cannot get any more clear than the murderer saying that it was politically motivated. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me today. Thank you for watching.